Hey, folks, happy Friday and welcome to the Freedom from the Press podcast. My name's Jason Robertson, and I'm here with my partner in crime.
Good morning, everybody. Todd Peterson. Jason, I am so excited. I was going to say something else, but I'm watching our chat just blow up right now. I'm just going to say it. It's my favorite hour and a half of the week, folks. We say it every week, but it is true because we got Kagan at Zero, we got Mark at Zero, we got Becky in the chat. J-Rob joined the chat, so I'll say hello to J-Rob over on the Rumble channel here. Everybody is joining the podcast. We log in. Jason and I logged in here, and we already see viewers ready to go, comments in the chat. Dee Dee's in there now. Good morning, Dee Dee here. It's such a cool feeling to see this community come together every week, Jason.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday, and he was talking about Friday podcast. And I'm like, it's really, Todd and I do digital marketing, content creation. We run social media pages. And it really is our favorite part because part of why we did this is just to meet with people who just want the truth, want to know what's going on, want to laugh about it instead of crying about it. And when I see people logging in, saying hi to each other, chatting, engaging, Todd, it fills my heart with love. And we love you guys. We appreciate it. Do us favors. We get going. Give us a like, give us a comment, give the show a share. We appreciate it.
All right. I had to do this. Jason, I'm glad someone on Facebook, this is the first Facebook comment here. I titled the show the way I did on purpose because I didn't want to give Pam Bondi too much credit. After all, it's Pam Bondi we're talking about. So I put a little Blondie in there. She also torched the Dems, so that much is true. But we got Sandy over on the Facebook saying I really like Pam. I agree. I like 95% of how Pam Bondi handled the Democrats on this last week's hearing. That's the only way you should be treating Dems, by the way. Jason, my takeaway from the Trump 2.0 administration is that they give zero Fs about respecting the media, respecting the Democrat politicians, because they deserve zero respect. These people are hacks, crooks, propagandists here. And so when you're berating them, calling them children, lecturing them, it's the only way to handle it. So Pam Bondi did a great job in the hearing, just dishing it back out the way they've dished it to us for years.
Yeah. And I got to say that I think one of the greatest things Donald Trump did is he gave us all permission to just say, screw you guys. You're insane. Like, that's not the truth. Call it out. And it was funny because on Wayne's podcast this week, I'm like, don't make me defend Pam because like Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, when we elected them, when they got nominated, I wanted people to go to jail. I want a perp walk. I want the first person to go to jail. And I will say overall, they're doing good. Like they're arresting criminals, they're winning court cases, they're doing things. I want first perp walk, and I want these big name corrupt politicians we've known been here for decades going to jail. I don't care. Pelosi, Schumer, Schiff's probably my number one choice, but so that part I'm like, Pam, you got to do something. But we're going to show some Pam clips. She stood up really well to a congressional hearing, and I love that, and she spoke some truth. And speaking truth, Todd, do we start with the comedian bit? Because
I think we have to, Jason. We'll just let him do the talking here. You know what? Turns out, Jason, we were right. Turns out the timeline from conspiracy theory to truth. Last couple of years, we always joked like 6 months. Whatever the time frame is that you give it, you were right. Just understand that you were right the whole time. Let's do a little moving around here on the old screen so we can get some videos going and just enjoy this, folks.
I'm not acting like I read 3.5 million documents. Just based on what I've read so far, I actually owe a lot of the conspiracy theorists I know an apology. GIB, it's very hard for me when it comes to the everything's connected people, because not everything feels connected. You'll have people who are like, it's all connected. It's all connected, all right? All of it. Jean Benet, 9/11, and the tiger that went missing at the zoo. It's all connected. That's the other thing about my friends who say it's all connected. They stare, and it's like if you would blink, I might be on board quicker. But the way that you can't just tell somebody, even if it's a fact, even if you're telling somebody the truth, you could be telling somebody the full truth. If you stare, it does take them out of what the truth is. You gotta stop. You might tell someone a fact, a thing that they know to be true, but if you stare afterwards, you kill your own momentum. You could be looking at your friend. It's Tuesday. Do you see how I don't care what day it is for a second?
I saw this comedian clip, and evidently, I think this guy they said was performing in New York City. And we could show 10 videos. Bill Maher's been saying it, bunch of other like kind of a little more reasonable Democrat communists have been saying it. But like Todd and I, we talk about this. When we launched our business in like 2022, the first project we took on was the Epstein files. And we wrote about the Epstein files. We wrote about Pizzagate. We wrote like 9 or 10 pieces, 10,000 word pieces, linking to, we had court files, we had everything. And we were trying to get our friends and family to read it, anybody that was anywhere left of center. And they looked at you like you were nuts. And then the Rona happened, and we're like, well, we got to be careful we talk about there. But all that's been proven true. And now it's like victory lap for conspiracy theorists. Like, oh, yeah, you mean like the Podesta emails, the DNC emails were really bad, and there really was elite pedophile ring being exposed. Yeah, and turns out Epstein, there really was something there, and it's, but I don't know about you, Todd, and I don't know if you've experienced this. Like, I had a family member who called me insane for years, wouldn't read our stuff, would look at her stuff, and why do you you think there's an elite pedophile ring, blah, blah, blah. And then we were sitting down talking about something, and they're like, well, what Trump's covering up. And I'm like, wait a second. Like, you looked at me like for the last 6 years like I was a crazy person. And now you're like, Trump's covering this up. Like, you're some expert. Like, there's few people on earth that have saw or read or written more about the Epstein files than we have. And it's, Todd, it's fascinating.
Yeah, you know what Trump is covering up, Jason? The same thing that Joe Biden, Barack Obama, George Bush, Bill Clinton all covered up. And I don't remember you being upset about past administrations ignoring this completely. I do remember 2019 arrest of a few individuals here that got this ball rolling. I've seen a lot of leaks now. Jason, there's one theory floating around the internet even that Donald Trump's the one that called out Jeffrey Epstein. I saw one rumor that Trump was an inside informant for the government prior to his politics life. And he's the one that ratted Epstein out to the feds. I don't know if that's true. Again, this is Facebook. This is just a rumor on Facebook. I'm not saying this is truth here. But wouldn't it be wild, too? Like, these TDS fools out there. Again, the playbook is so obvious. Just ignore it. It's not happening. Oh, I can use it for political points. Never forget, folks, and this is what I have told my sister-in-law, too. I said, you don't care about the victims at all. The alleged victims. I think on Rumble only, Jason, I got some spicy takes on all this. But these supposed victims, you didn't care about at all. You still don't care about them. You only care because you can score political points against Donald Trump. That is what it distills down to. They hate Trump so much, they'll ignore everything else, and they'll just use this to get Trump.
Well, yeah, and that's why when you see a Democrat or you see a lefty go, Trump's a pedo or Trump's a pedo protector, they're brain dead. Like, either they have no idea what the facts are or they don't know anything. And I'll push the envelope a little bit more on Trump. So Epstein started operating, and go to www.theamericantribune.news. Check out the Substack. Todd wrote some of those pieces. I think Will wrote some. Really good, really well researched. So Epstein came to be in the 90s into the 2000s. He was swimming in the rich and powerful circles. So think of who are the political players then. And he was swimming in the Trump circle because Trump hung out with rich, powerful people. And this is confirmed now, both in testimony and in the files. Donald Trump got pissed because Epstein was trying to recruit young girls from his salon or spa at Mar-a-Lago to come work for him to do massages. And one of them was like young, like 14, 15, 16. And it was one of the patrons of Mar-a-Lago's kids. And so this dude goes up to Trump, and everybody knew Epstein liked him young, but he's like, hey, he's like trying to get my 15-year-old daughter to come over there. So Trump reported him. This came out in the files. There was a police report where they confirmed one of the first calls they got was from Trump. And then how the case blew up is some mom found like $400 in her kid's wallet. Where'd the money come from? Well, this guy's paying me to do massages. She reported him. The whole investigation took off. They interviewed Trump in the investigation for his first conviction in 2006. So, and then there's no connection between 2006 and 2019 other than Trump's DOJ arrested him. So, I mean, those are the facts. Do with it what you will. But everybody's screaming like, oh, Trump tried to protect him, or so-and-so's a victim, which tune into Rumble Only because we get a little spice here on Rumble Only, and I'll let Todd give the Rumble pitch in a sec. But this whole thing is it's just political theater. It's getting sketchy. Everybody wants all the customers to go to jail. Everybody wants customers held accountable. You know, the left, though, they only want one potential customer. That's Donald Trump.
I will say this one caveat to that, Jason, and then I promise it's going to get super spicy. If they are underage, I want the customers to go to jail. How about that for now? We got Virginia over on the Facebook, though, asking why we have a comedian on the split screen. Virginia, and those of you just tuning in right now, it is a live show, so we're moving on here. But if you want to watch the recording from earlier, you can always go back on your timeline there on Facebook, I do believe, and catch the beginning there. But we were right. Virginia, TLDR, we were right. Jason, I think
Virginia, it was a really funny bit the guy did about how he owes all his conspiracy theory friends a apology.
I will. Jason, do you accept apologies? So this is an interesting idea. I think an apology is better than not waking up and recognizing reality. But it's also like it is 2026. You had 3 chances to vote for Donald Trump, and you probably didn't. So I think sometimes this is finger in the wind nonsense. Like now it's safe to make this comment here. I don't know this guy's politics. But if he's one of those that is just like, it's safe to make this joke now, I don't know. Like, you had your chance in 2024. You want to be a hero? Go vote for Donald Trump in the America First Movement. You want to apologize now? I don't know. Like, how long did you need to come to this conclusion here? But better late than never, I guess. Better late than never.
Well, and we won't get too sidetracked. We'll play some clips, but just to address Mark's comment, Pam's department hasn't even reached out to the victims. The victims tried to reach out and was ignored. That's an interesting point they make. All of these victims have been interviewed by the DOJ. All the victims, it's in the files. They've submitted all their information. So that's a political point they're trying to score. Like, oh, why hasn't Pam's DOJ reached out? Many of these victims were interviewed as far back as 2006 and 2007 and 2008. So that's one of those, the left and the media likes to like point out a fact that isn't relevant and isn't kind of true, where it's like, yeah, no, Pam Bondi and her team and don't make me defend Pam Bondi, for God's sakes, folks.
Please, no.
But they have 6 million pages of documents to go through and corroborating evidence and all this. And the FBI has been working on this case for 20 years. They may choose to interview him, they may not. But at the end of the day, like this characterization, like they're ignoring it. Like, what do you want them to do? Like, they only have so many lawyers, you know. And right now, with what Thomas Massie did, he has made it where Pam Bondi's team, which is a limited number of people, needs to review 6 million files. 6 million files, documents, pages. They need to go through each one. They need to make sure they get the redaction right. It's ridiculous. And like, you're going to turn this out in the wild. I wish they were spending their time prosecuting people rather than redacting documents so that we could see it. So,
Jason,
there you go. We got Carl.
Facebook so much here. I know Carl is a low IQ, brainwashed individual. We got Trader Trump is a child R word here. Again, this person did not care 5 seconds ago about anything in the Epstein files. They don't care about the victims. They don't care about the girls. They don't care about all the elites running the world here with the blackmail operations. They only care because Donald Trump is implicated here. By the way, there is zero evidence. And like Jason and I say, I can't believe I have to defend the other side. If he's guilty, then fine, send him to prison with everybody else. But there is zero evidence right now of any of that happening. Carl, you are one of the reasons why people should not have made voting so easy for others. You do not deserve to vote. You don't even know how to wake up and form an opinion of for yourself here. Is a child R word here. Unreal. And we got Tony over on the Facebook here saying that Jason and I presenting facts and information. And yeah, we have opinions on this stuff, but nothing that we have said can be debunked, I don't think, Jason. You guys sound stupid. That's why Republicans are losing. And then I always love this part too. Like, I'm a real Republican and you guys sound ridiculous here. A real Republican that misses the days when we had spineless, cowardly sellouts like John McCain and Mitt Romney and the neocons in the Bush administration. Yeah, how did that Republican administration go? That's the Republican era, the bygone era that Tony misses here, when we got steamrolled on every issue, lost the culture war, lost political power here. But yeah, those were the good old days, Tony.
Right. And Tony, too, when are we getting my money? Like,
Yeah.
like, dude, go work. Todd and I, we're up here. We're streaming on the old YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and my favorite Rumble. Like, go get a job, dude. I don't know what to tell you.
Oh, yeah.
And it's funny, like, Carl, I wonder if that's the Carl, Canadian Carl.
Maybe.
Mark loved Canadian Carl. Like, Mark over on the Rumble, he thought Carl was the greatest. Maybe it's a different Carl. Maybe there's something about Carl's. And yeah, it's crazy. All right, Carl, you think you know more. Let me know in the chat why Obama 1, Obama 2, and Joe Biden didn't do anything with files, didn't charge anybody. Just let that be your next comment. Give me your rational thoughts, because all of them had all the Epstein files, Obama 1 and 2. And yeah, let me know. Like, let's have a great conversation, Carl. Why on earth did they not do anything? Why did they not charge any co-conspirators? Why did they not release any files? Why did none of that happen? We'll be waiting. But anyway, should we move on to the next thing? Oh my God, we got Kev. And who else hopped in over on the Rumble? K-Gun Girl. We had Pac.
I do want to make this comment about libs, though. So Carl is your classic lib that loves credentials. If he has letters behind his name on his email signature, or he has a fancy piece of paper hanging up his wall that says the name of an expensive college that he went to, he thinks that that paper or those letters on his email translate into something meaningful that I should care about. Carl, this just in, your piece of paper, your letters, none of that matters if you can't form basic thoughts and opinions for yourself. If you can't look at facts, evidence, use reason and logic. And you might be a really smart person in an IQ test, but you are absolutely retarded in real life. You see, there's a difference between book smarts and street smarts, and you might have all of the former, but you have none of the latter. If your entire takeaway in 2026 is that Orange Man bad and somehow Democrats are the righteous moral side of this political argument here, like, you are an absolutely useless human being. I don't care. You might have a full wall of paper telling me all about your diplomas and your college experience, but it means nothing. It means nothing.
Now let's go on Carl's journey with him. I hope everybody's okay with this journey. I asked him a specific question. Why wasn't he charged? Why didn't we see him? And his response, because they were sealed.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Every investigation in the history of the Department of Justice before the Epstein files was sealed. You aren't answering the question, Carl, which is, why did Obama 1 and 2 and his wingman Jeff Holder, and then Biden with Merrick Garland, why did they not charge anybody? Like, oh, now he's going Carl mode. Oh my God.
I know we're not going to spend much more time on Carl, but it's illuminating. This is how they think. Actually, this is Democrats showing themselves how low IQ and brainwashed they are here. This is half the country votes like this too, by the way. Half this country is full of Carls right now.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, he's trying to justify, oh, there was an active investigation, blah, 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 blah. You mean 4 years wasn't long enough for Joe Biden to bring a charge?
Do you see how many words they use? Jason, when he was mad at us, it was Orange Man is a child R word. And when he's defending getting pushed back on, do you see the book he has to write to defend his position?
Right.
You're so guilty, Carl. You've been exposed. No amount of words is going to clarify your position. You're a fraud. We just busted you.
Right. Yeah. And victims were still going to the FBI with information that changed when Trump browsed. Yeah. Carl, The victims were victimized before his arrest in 2006.
What do you get?
Like, you have no, you're trying to pin it on Orange Man Band. All right, we could get lost.
All right, I'm moving on from Carl here. Carl, just do us a favor, log off. We're going to ignore your comments for now.
Should we check in on Tom Holman? I saw that today, and that was phenomenal. Because we've been talking on the podcast. We covered it in depth. Todd and I are both from Minnesota. The problem requiring additional ICE people in Minnesota is that the sanctuary city laws meant they weren't going to work with ICE. We played Sheriff Grady Judd's video a couple weeks ago that broke it down. And now for anybody saying like Trump's withdrawing or anybody saying they crushed Minneapolis, we reached a reasonable solution. And Tom Holman talked about it here.
To do three things: de-escalate, done. Take public safety threats off the street. Over 4,000 illegal aliens were arrested, done. Gain cooperation from state and local law enforcement, so it makes the agent's job safer to arrest a public safety threat in the safety and security of a facility, done. But even though we're drawing down resources, we still want to have hundreds of special agents here drawn down on the fraud here from the Semitic community and others. Those fraud investigations can continue until they're done. We're going to hold people responsible. We're also got investigators here doing the church investigations, to include Don Lemon. We're not walking away from anything. We've achieved what we came here for. This is like any other surge operation. LA, it ended. Los Angeles, it ended. Charlotte, it ended. New Orleans, it ended. This is ending the surge, but we're not going away. And let me say this: over 800 flights a day land in St. Paul, Minnesota. If we need to come back, we'll come back.
Music to my ears. I know Carl's over there shaking right now. He's so triggered by ICE deportations. I know exactly everything you believe, Carl. But Jason, this is as good as it's going to get. Now, there are still illegals in Minnesota. There are still Somali fraudsters in Minnesota. It's not perfect, but we could have avoided. Can we just say this now? We could have avoided Renee Good getting shot, Alex Preddy getting shot, because it turns out Minnesota officials were prepared to compromise with the Trump administration and just be reasonable and keep illegal criminals in detention until federal agents could pick them up. Everything else could have been avoided. It was all a show.
Right. And so there's some MAGA people that were going a little nuts, like, oh my gosh, we're retreating. The fact is there's 23,000 ICE agents. That's it. And you have limited numbers you can send into all the states. And Todd and I want every single one sent home. If you're here illegally, we take the Barack Obama 2010 position, send them all home. The Hillary Clinton 2016 position, like, send them all home.
Speak English. Yeah. Turns out we're big supporters of Clinton and Obama's foreign or immigration policy from not that long ago.
Right. Yeah. It's fantastic. So we knew coming in, and this was really important that Trump got done because, and, you know, Tom Holman and the whole team, because they have to break up this sanctuary city nonsense. What a sanctuary city means, if you capture somebody, arrest somebody, and they have a deportation order, the police don't check, one, and then they won't hand them over to ICE. They turn them loose, and they got to go chase these people around the neighborhoods. That's where all the drama comes from. So what ICE is asking for, they asked for it from the beginning. When you arrest somebody, check their deportation status, and if they have an order, give it to it. Just turn them over. That's all that had to happen. None of this had to happen in Minnesota. All the death, the fights, the tear gas, none of it had to happen. It happened because of ridiculous Democrats who would rather politic on it than, like, let's just all agree, like, Trump won the election. We put him in to send everybody home. All these people out there with your whistles going, oh, trying to disrupt a law enforcement operation. Like, y'all are crazy. Take the win, MAGA. Excellent work.
And also worth remembering, Jason, Joe Biden's administration, as bad as it was, still had a DHS, still had an ICE, still conducted regular deportations of hundreds of thousands of individuals. They let in 20 million, so maybe it was easier to pick a few up. But Joe Biden, Barack Obama, they all deported people. Obama was the deporter in chief at the time. It was used derogatorily against him. I don't remember a single protest. So just like we saw with Epstein here, let's connect a few dots. They ignore it. They're fine with it. And then when Trump does the same thing, now they pretend to get outraged. This is too far. He grew a mustache. You people are brainwashed, low IQ, and insane. You have no principles, no foundations. You're mad because you're getting told to be mad. That's it. We have always conducted deportations. This policy is not new. It makes sense. It's common sense. But it's not Trump reinventing the wheel because the American people said, we need deportations. We've always had deportations. These lib protesters out there are fools.
Oh, and I got to say, I love our audience. Joe over there, illegal is illegal. Yes,
with a great flag, George.
Right.
George sporting a flag.
Yeah. Then Mark, once they cross that border illegally, they commit a crime. We go back and we played them. We won't torture people with them. But Barack Obama campaigned on that in his first presidential campaign. And Francis does bring out one of the issues we have. Walz is still here. Walz should be locked up in prison. So should Attorney General Keith Ellison.
Yes,
which
sir.
Maybe we play that Holly clip. This
is fire today. This is from, I think it's this morning, Jason. Yesterday or today. Josh Hawley, though, has Keith Ellison, Minnesota's corrupt, fraudulent, America-hating, Christian-hating Keith Ellison testifying in front of him here. And from the get-go, I'm going to try to bounce around to find some different moments that take place. But from the very beginning, his very first question, folks, he says, "Are you the Attorney General?" And Keith Ellison, because he is Keith Ellison, refuses to play along here. Just a ridiculous charade.
So let me start with you. You're the Attorney General of the state of Minnesota. Do I have that correct? That's a yes?
Sir, you're aware of my job. You know the answer to that.
You're not going to answer my questions? Are we going to start this way? Are you the Attorney General of the state of Minnesota, yes or no?
You know the answer.
Mr. Ellison, you're in my courtroom now. You're under oath.
God,
so I suggest that you answer my questions. Are you the chief law enforcement officer of the state of Minnesota? Yes or no? Let's try another question.
Jason, you're a parent. I'm a parent. I think our audience skews older. They have kids, grandkids now. Like, can you envision a time when you were talking to your young child, like, hey, did you put crayon on the wall? Like, just a really simple question. This is how your kid reacts. Again, leftists are children in grown-up bodies here.
Oh, my God. And Carl's over there just, Carl needs a hobby. I think it might be the Carl, the Canadian Carl.
This must be the Carl here. I used to feel bad for the Carls of the world, and then I realized, why am I feeling bad for you? I feel bad for me that I have to share a country with people like this, or share a hemisphere if he's in Canada. Like,
maybe we can deport Carl. I don't know.
What a waste of space. Like, what a waste of resources that Carl gets access to. What a waste of democracy that Carl's vote counts somewhere. Like, I don't feel bad for him anymore. I feel bad for the rest of us that have to deal with the Carls.
Right. Now, back to Keith Ellison. It's funny. If any conservative or Republican acted like this, it would be the front page news. He won't even answer a simple question, blah, blah, blah. Oh,
familiar with
Carl,
the $9 billion in historic fraud out of your state, including the $250 million in the Feeding Our Future program alone. You familiar with that? Don't turn to the pages in your book to get your potted answers. Are you familiar with it? Yes or no?
Yes, I am familiar with it.
Very familiar, aren't you? Because the people who ran the Feeding Our Futures program came to you in your official office in the state capitol December 11th, 2021, and asked for your help in getting investigators off their backs. They complained to you for upwards of an hour. You can act the way you want. You replied, money is freedom. They said the amount of money circulating, I'm reading the transcript, the amount of money circulating in our community today is powerful, and we haven't realizing it in a meaningful way. And you said, give me the specifics. And 9 days later, you took $10,000 from people who were then indicted. It's in your reports. Why'd you do it?
Sir,
was it worth it?
You know what? This is a theatrical performance.
This is the truth. This is what accountability looks like, of which you've had none. You helped fraudsters defraud your state and this government of $9 billion, and you got a fat campaign contribution out of it. You ought to be indicted.
True. Well,
that's the truth.
I think we've made the point. Let's keep the tenor just
for the record.
I'll ask how I want to.
He's lying, and that's the truth.
That was Rand Paul going in like, be nice to the communist Muslim, Josh Hawley. You can't expose too many facts. Rand Paul, what a weight. Him and Massey are huge disappointments. Like, I, for a while, Jason, thought I was like, this libertarianism doesn't sound too bad here. The Republicans are corrupt too. And then you grow up and you're like, they're children too. Libertarians live in a make-believe world just like these Democrats do. Be nice to them, please, Josh.
Right. Oh, there has been a request too, Todd. Mark's talking about the shooter over in
That might
Canada.
have to be a Rumble only.
Yeah, that'll be Rumble only. We might get into that, Mark. Kind of a wild thing.
There was one more part here where he calls him pal, and it was great, but I
Didn't.
You took 10
That's also wrong.
They came to you.
Sir,
No, sir. You
you're the
now have
one-
encountered.
My team assisted with.
Yeah, I'll have to find the pal clip specifically, but it's less fire and just more hilarious here. But this whole clip, folks, Keith Ellison up there, and he thinks that when he says that's a lie, that somehow that refutes all the evidence that Josh Hawley has here. No, you're lying. Okay, and this man belongs in prison. Walz belongs in prison. Jason, maybe it's because I'm biased and we live in Minnesota here. It could just be that this fraud is so insane, and it's not the same as California. It pales in comparison to Newsom's California, but man, you just don't like these people. Trump needs to arrest somebody for treason, for fraud, and if he started with these two top politicians in Minnesota, I would not complain.
Well, and it's fascinating too because we have Muslim communists that have seized power. Like we've been talking about Mundami, we've been talking about the communists in Seattle. These cities are falling apart, and why do we let it's bizarre that we allow this in the country. But specifically, Keith Ellison and his band of pirates in Minneapolis, folks, this population of like 100,000 people have stolen $9 billion from us in Minnesota and the United States, because a lot were federal funds. Every stone they unturn, it's another. There's a report going around about all these people with autism that are getting kicked out of their houses now because the Somali fraudsters took all the money. It's ridiculous. It's insane. They should not be like he belongs in jail.
It seems like our Facebook audience was talking to one another too. I love how our commenters just ignore the show now, Jason, and have conversations with themselves here. I was trying to see if it was worthwhile. Let's get to Blondie, though. We titled the show Blondie. We've been talking a lot about Blondie here. This was a great exchange with Brandon Gill, and it's just Brandon Gill getting an opportunity to expose, again, Democrat hypocrisy, fraud, corruption here. And boy, Trump is really weaponizing the government. I know Carl earlier said Bondi's somehow breaking the law, but let's do a little trip back in time too, Jason, to see how previous administrations use their Justice Department.
Series of questions for you that we can get through pretty quickly, I think. Can you tell me, is it true that the Biden-Harris DOJ raided President Trump's home?
They did.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ allow Jack Smith to spy on over a dozen Republican members of Congress?
Absolutely.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ seize the phone of a sitting Republican congressman?
Yes.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ and Jack Smith pay at least $20,000 to confidential human sources to provide information on President Trump?
At least.
At least. Did the Biden-Harris DOJ and FBI fail to apprehend the suspect who placed pipe bombs near the Capitol ahead of January 6th?
Yes.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ target parents as domestic terrorists?
Absolutely.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ target pro-life Catholics, going so far as to interview a priest and a choir director?
Yes.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ send FBI SWAT teams to arrest pro-life advocates with no criminal histories?
Yes.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ use the FACE Act to target pro-life advocates while it allowed anti-life agitators to vandalize, destroy, and firebomb pregnancy resource centers and churches?
Multiple times, I believe.
Multiple times. Did the Biden-Harris DOJ ever determine who leaked the Dobbs decision?
I like this one.
I can't discuss that. No, under Biden-Harris.
That is an interesting answer, though.
Right.
I can't
God,
discuss
I
that.
hope
Oh, wait, under Biden-Harris, fine. Like,
for those who don't remember, when they overturned Roe versus Wade, which was the Dobbs decision, it got leaked and they didn't know anything about it. That was an interesting answer.
except I think that's a giveaway. They do know, and now they're not going to tell us here. Again, don't make us defend Pam Bondi in this hearing here. She is sitting on a trove of information that we deserve, a trove of arrests that should be happening that are not. Jason, you know I have to do this here. We got a different guy here. Again, we're evil. We're destroying America. We're all stupid racist, apparently. Like,
I don't even think we said anything about race so far, have we?
I don't think we have. We had a black comedian open the show for us, Jason.
Right. See, and this is what I love about guys like Joseph. Like, Joseph's probably never seen our podcast, doesn't know who we are, doesn't follow us on social media. we start playing the show with a really funny black comedian, and he calls us the R word. Like, just so you know, Thomas, calling me a racist doesn't faze me, because I see what your definition of racist is, and whatever. Like, call me a fascist next. Oh no, what's gonna happen? It's like we're past the name calling on the right. Donald Trump. There was a time in America that when you said that, we would think it was like, oh, the greatest moral sin to be called that. We don't care. Like, we don't care. Go ahead, invite it in.
You know how I know they're not real too, Jason? It's Black History Month right now. Has anyone said anything about like Clarence Thomas, Thomas Sowell, and Larry Elder, two of the greatest thinkers in America, happen to be black here? If I quoted Thomas Sowell for the next hour, I would still be called a racist. If I said I like Thomas Sowell more than Joseph or Carl in our chat here, it wouldn't register for them. They don't even say they're real blacks if they're conservative or aren't just lockstep into Democrat policies here. They're all frauds. It has nothing to do with race. It has everything to do with ideology. Either you're on their team or you're not here. They just use the R word. They use all these other slanderous terms to make you afraid, and it just doesn't stick anymore. We don't care. You can call us every name in the book. You're still wrong.
Right. All right, let's get back to Pam Bondi.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ and FBI target whistleblowers for revealing waste, fraud, and abuse within the department to Congress?
Not to my knowledge.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ refuse to say whether it coordinated with Alvin Bragg, Fani Willis, and Letitia James in their lawfare against President Trump?
They refused.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ slow walk the criminal investigation and prosecution of Hunter Biden?
That's an understatement, in my opinion.
Yep. Did the Biden-Harris DOJ determine who brought cocaine into the Biden White House?
They did not.
They did not. Did the Biden-Harris DOJ cover up the extent?
Well, as far as we know, they did not.
Right, that's right. Did the Biden-Harris DOJ cover up the extent of the Russia collusion hoax?
Absolutely, in my opinion. Yes.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ, seek leniency from a federal court for an IRS contractor who leaked sensitive tax information on over 7,600 Americans, including President Trump?
Yes.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ sue Texas because the state wanted to secure its own southern border?
Yes.
And finally, did the Biden-Harris DOJ attack SpaceX for hiring too many Americans?
I believe they did.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
It is unbelievable, and I appreciate that a lot of this is being cleaned up under your leadership.
Holy smokes, Jason.
Now, I got to have a couple disclaimers, and Big Bad's not here. I've known Brandon Gill for 5-7 years. We've done a little business together before he got into politics. Like, he's married to Dinesh D'Souza's daughter. And like I said, I know Brandon personally. Like, I mean, not like we're buddies or anything, but like we've done business. We've had conversations. Love Brandon Gill. Was really excited when he was running. And he has done a bang-up job. If you follow him on social media, his performance in these hearings, I think for a large part, he understands there's limited what he can do as a junior member of Congress. But one thing he can do is get viral clips like this that just really spell out everything they do. And he's pretty effective. I'll be curious if he can learn to wield power in Congress, because if he can, like, he's going to be a force. Like, that guy will be something. I mean, not that he isn't something already, but he will be an important member of Congress. And it's funny, because when he was going through this list, I'm like, Jesus, that all really happened. Like, none of that.
And I had forgotten half of it. Now, of course, it jogs your memory. You're like, oh, yeah, I do remember that headline or that story there. But the list, Jason, I was trying to figure out, like, how long is this video? 2 minutes, 3 minutes? And we played it all. And it wasn't like him elaborating on anything. It was just yes or no, question this, question that. And these libs over there, Dems, are trying to tell you that Trump's weaponizing the government. Pam Bondi is acting illegally here. I think, though, the problem is libs don't see any problem with what happened under Biden. They're listening to that list, and it's like, well, yeah, he was doing that for diversity or equality, and that's all good things. And Trump's trying to take it all back. That's a huge problem. They don't see that was an issue, and it's just like, again, it doesn't matter. It's just about them consolidating and accumulating power.
Well, and this is the dangerous thing, and we've been talking a lot about this on the podcast, and I'll share a personal story. There's this demonization of Trump supporters, MAGA, and you see it in the comments. These people that have never met us, don't know anything about us, like if you think of how the Jews were characterized in Nazi Germany, not to invoke World War II, like they were othered. And when all this stuff happened, they didn't care because that was happening to bad people. They don't care what the government did. They don't care any of those things because they were going after bad people. You know, if and Facebook must have timed out Carl that, or he got tired. But if in fact, like they arrest Clinton for what he was doing, they would, like the left would scream, you know what I mean? And like there'd be riots in the streets. If they arrested Obama, there'd be riots in the streets, which maybe we need riots in the streets. But it's really kind of dangerous when you think about how far the left is pushed. And like for me, I just want the right to follow the same rules the left did. Like all that stuff he just listed off, if that's the new terms and we're all okay with that, when the right's in power, they could do all that. And like even like prosecuting Don Lemon for coordinating an attack on a church where they disrupt service, like he should go in jail. And I think it was Kevin earlier is like the problem is where you're going to try him. And Wills wrote a lot of articles on the Substack about that. If you start looking at the stats prosecution, like even OJ, that's like the first case where it really came out. The jurors all came out after the fact and said, we didn't convict him because he was black. Like, it's not that we didn't think he was, and not all of them, but it was like half or 2/3 of them. They've given interviews, they've written books. It's wild. And, you know, even when they were talking earlier about the Jean E. Carroll case, that's up in the appeals court. It looks like it's going to get reversed. But like TDS has reached like a critical level. And my personal story is that, so I have a friend of mine I've known 25 years. We have his mom who's 90, and she's been a big part of our life, my Jen and I, for the last 3-4 years. Like she attends our Christmas, Easter, like we get together for lunch every couple of weeks. I never met Jim's other siblings, and now she's looking to go in an old folks home. And I had recommended one that Jen's dad was in. And these guys, like their response was, well, isn't he your MAGA friend? Like we probably shouldn't put him in this old folks home. And here's somebody I've literally met one time for like 3 minutes. And because I'm a MAGA friend, the old folks home that we want to put Jim's mom in suddenly like isn't okay. And it's like, I mean, that's how far these people have gone down the path, and it's terrifying.
Jason, it's absolutely terrifying here. I'm going to take this opportunity to celebrate that we've reached critical mass, and now we have feds posting on our page here because Kathy Hill is over there saying, let me begin by saying I'm a conservative patriot, and then goes on to say that everything you're saying is false and lies, and you shouldn't support Donald Trump, and he's losing support here. That is just pure propaganda. The only reason Trump is losing support is because he's not doing enough. He isn't going too far. No real American patriot is like, you know what? Donald Trump is just, he's taking these deportations too far. We're not thinking that at all. We're saying, dang it, when are the deportations actually going to start in earnest? We need to claw the country back. And Jason, I think a lot of us are hitting the point too, where it's like, well, jury by a trial of your peers, it's not going to work here. Most of your peers are low IQ. Pick the average person in America. Half of them are dumber than that, as George Carlin would say here. I don't want a jury of my peers deciding my fate anymore, deciding the fate of these corrupt politicians. I don't need the masses voting anymore here. I don't want the filibuster. The Senate Republicans need to abolish the filibuster and get the SAVE Act through Congress here. All norms, all precedent need to be thrown out the window if we're going to save this country here. So yeah, in response to Kathy here, just Fed posting, no, he is not losing support. He can't go far enough. Donald Trump would gain support, I think, if he actually took this a step in the right direction to save the country, because we can't just do status quo stuff anymore. Everybody gets to vote. We'll just swing the pendulum back every 4 years. It's not going to work like that.
Yeah, and actually, to hop back in the comments, Becky hopped back in, and Kev was bringing her up speed. You just missed the escalating Carl copy paste. So this is one thing I learned personally, and it's kind of funny. So on Facebook, I did a post on my personal page. I got like 900 friends or whatnot, and I just said, can somebody explain why Democrats are so opposed to the police handing over a criminal to ICE? Like, why is that a problem? And it got like 450 comments, and there was some good conversation going on. And this wasn't my work page, it was my personal page. And I was hopping and replying like, hey, thanks for your feedback or whatever. But I learned Facebook, if you do too many replies, it blocks you out. And so I think what happened with our friend Carl, who was streaming the copy paste. And this was like, I laugh about like Facebook censorship, but in that case, it was like, I did like 15 replies in 20 minutes and it's like, oh, we're locking you out of your account. And so I had to have a timeout. So I think Carl got a timeout. So maybe he'll be back. I don't know.
Carl has nothing else going on in his life. So again, leftists have no meaning too, Jason. There's so many lessons to take away from Carl, even though we've spent a lot of time on him. His life is meaningless and purposeless and empty. So he finds meaning going on random podcasts on Facebook and trolling them, pretending he's better than everybody else and smarter than everybody else here. You could focus on your family, on a career, develop some skill sets, get a hobby, go outside. But Carl rejects all of that. He says, I'm going to get meaning by typing things on the internet and yelling at people I don't know. He doesn't care that I'm a father of 2 beautiful young girls. He doesn't care about you, Jason, helping out a family friend right here. We have a lot going on in ourselves, business owners, family members, friends. We got a great Rumble community, but nope, Carl just sees us saying the word Trump and assumes we are evil.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And that's why, I'll be honest, like what Dems, if they ever get back in power, like buckle up, folks. Buckle up.
Yeah, buckle up indeed. All right. We got one more hearing clip. This might be the same. It might be different. I'm not sure, Jason.
That the Biden-Harris DOJ.
Oh, it was. Okay, so we had 2 of the gills here. Do you want to shift gears for a little bit? We have now, you just talked about, this might be a good segue, talk about buckle up if Democrats get in power. Here was a frightening video that went viral. I hate when they say it went viral, but it did. End Wokeness got 14 million views on the old X there because you have a foreigner Dem, telling all of the non-whites to unite together against the oppressive class. And gosh, I wonder how that would end, Jason. I wish we had examples in other nations to see what happens when you overthrow the white ruling class.
I tell people the day the Latino, African American, Asian, and other communities.
Hold on, did he say
I always tell people the day the Latino, African American, Asian, and other communities realize that they share the same oppressor is the day we start winning, because we are the majority in this country now. We have the ability to take over this country and to do what is needed for everyone and to make things fair. But the problem is our communities are divided. They're completely divided. And I
wonder what needs to be done to us, Jason. This is a frightening, of all the videos we've ever played, Jason, this is creeping in on one of the more frightening ones. They don't even care to hide it anymore. We hate you and we're going to take everything from you. And I don't know, we'll do other stuff to you too, maybe.
Well, you know, we've been talking about that, and I think I have a little bit more of a pessimistic approach where I think it's becoming normalized with like, oh, we hate America, we hate white men. People can just come on there and think it's appropriate. I think Kev used the word earlier, it's uncouth. It's beyond uncouth. Like if the FBI showed up at my front door right now for us doing this podcast and raided me, like Carl would be cheering. Like, it wouldn't matter what I did, what I didn't do. I'm just a bad person. I support a Nazi. And this language, like, this guy's confirming the Great Replacement theory. America, whether you like it or not, for the first 200 years of existence, was a majority white nation, majority Christian nation. Not even close, like 90-10. You know, black people were here because we brought them over as slaves. And, like, we set the slaves free. The U.S., that was a huge win. We were one of the first nations that set slaves free, you know, and we're still struggling, you know, hundreds of years later, trying to figure out how that's going to look. You know, there's a couple funny reparation stories too, but like bringing in all these third worlders with their own worldviews to overthrow this country, it's astounding. And, you know, it's like we've talked about South Africa. We got to be careful on some of the platforms, but white Europeans built South Africa. There was nobody there. It was the plains. It was vacant. And they built that. And then the blacks wanted to show up because they built a great society. And then they took it over. And now they virtually run most of the whites out of South Africa. And like, this guy's telling you this is happening. And you don't see anybody calling that out. You know, and when I see somebody like, well, there won't be a white majority in America, and that's great. Explain to me why that's great. Like, you literally went to a white majority country. You wanted to move here. You chose to go to a Christian majority country, And the only reason we let you in is because our beliefs like made us want to help you, want you to like we're kind. And now you're coming in and you're calling us names. And at some point that worm's going to turn and we're going to say, you know what? No, we aren't horrible people. No, we aren't awful people. No, Christianity is the best religion. We don't need to hear about Allah or get your Quran. And, you know, it's just not going to go well.
No, I wish we were on pause what we're doing, Jason, because our YouTube channel not only had a viewer, but someone viewing and inspired enough to write a comment here. John Savage over on the YouTube channel, where we got 1 view today. Thanks, John. England freed the slaves they had first, and then the U.S. right after here. Yeah, William Wilberforce, again, Christian abolitionist here. Everyone wants to talk about slavery. Jason, you kind of said we're still trying to figure out what to do with the past slaves. I have an easy solution, nothing. You were granted freedom. You have been given 150 years. We are moving on from that. They deserve nothing. Most of the blacks in America don't even have a tie to slavery. Most of the whites don't have a tie to slavery either here. So no, we don't need to do anything. But yes, it was a white Christian movement that abolished slavery. Yeah, America's so evil that it's slavery. The whole world had slavery up until white Christian abolitionists got rid of it. So instead of me owing you anything, you owe me a big debt of gratitude and a big thank you for changing how the world operated here. But I'm over all of it. And Jason, when we get to Rumble only here, we got to share a John Doyle clip. There is a one-man show single-handedly taking down Black History Month here. We'll play one of his videos, but he's releasing one every day, debunking every myth you can think of, every legend, story that Black History Month props up and propagandizes you with here. And I like the Tuskegee Airmen one. I saw you drop that in the podcast channel too. So we're going to show that clip because he just destroys all of the lies that they tell you. But that's going to be a Rumble only, so a little preview for that.
Well, yeah, and actually, I went and I found the Harriet Tubman one.
Oh, that was good too. I mean, I've seen them all. They're all good. You could throw a dart at his videos, and you're gonna like.
Yeah,
it.
we could maybe play one or two. I like the Tubman one because more people are familiar with Harriet Tubman.
That's true. Yeah, everyone. You grew up in school. You had a whole chapter in your history book, your social studies book on Harriet Tubman and her Underground Railroad, and you had to act out these stupid skits, and they made movies. And it turns out, that's just in, folks. None of that is true.
I love that. God, Todd, where'd we go next before we wrap up Facebook, YouTube?
Well, Cernovich I like Cernovich over on the Twitter there, and he posed a very simple question. I'm going to pop this on our screen here. I'm not going to play the whole thing. I don't know what we're allowed to play, but if you did watch the Super Bowl... Oh, yeah, there's a song. We can't play the song. I'm just going to have the video play without music for a second. There was a Redfin. I think it's like an online real estate app here. So it just describes this, loving Black family, forced to move, it looks like, into an all-white middle-class neighborhood. The horrors, the absolute horrors that this family is going to have to experience now. And they portray this white family as dysfunctional. They're divorcing. You got the American flag waving, which is now just right-wing coded. The American flag means you're a conservative. And you got the angry white neighbor here. And here's the Black guy just like, hey, neighbor. You got the storm happening. And then the white neighbor loses their dog. The Black neighbor is going to find the dog, cut down the tree that fell in their yard here. All this nonsense here, like everything that they could not make it more obvious. And so Cernovich is tweeting about this video. He's like, can we just talk about this? Has any nation ever improved when they kicked out the whites? And I think it's a fair question to ask, Jason. And this is not a like, if you're Black, you're inferior question, but it's just like, can we be honest? Like the nations in Africa that had white majority ruling classes, Europe, America, like everywhere you see whites disappearing, is it getting better for anybody? So that he posed that question.
I got to say here, I got to go back and find, and this will be kind of a funny story, but this is my favorite part of the video. You have racist dog barking at the brown person. Now here's where I get a kick out of it. Todd and I like to talk about personal stuff a little bit. I have Lou the Freedom Dog. People have seen her on the podcast. She's out and about. She's probably when you hear barking in the background. We got her from a pet store. It was one of the nicer ones that doesn't work with puppy mills. There's like 2 of them in Minnesota. And it was at a mall, Northtown Mall, which if you know Minneapolis, like it is full of Somalis. And because like Black people were guessing, because that's the vast majority of the population of the mall, were like rough with her Black kids, especially, she barks at Black people. So if we're walking somewhere and it's Black people, she'll like growl at them. And if it's young black people, she will like bark at them. And we suspect it's because the Somali kids were rough with her or whatever, but it's just kind of funny. But I love how in a Super Bowl ad, it's like even their dog is racist. It's funny.
This is neither here nor there, too, but just the absurdity of libs here as we're winding down the Facebook hour. So last summer, we have people over at the house, Jason, and one of it's the sister-in-law. It's always, I promise I'm not trying to pick on her, but she's just so easy. She's like every meme of these brainwashed libs. So they're talking about getting a dog. So they rescued a dog, but they had to go to a red state to rescue a dog here. Because, again, they had a specific demand of a rescue dog that they got. And then she went on to tell me, like, well, the red states in the South, they put down animals if they're not adopted within a certain time frame. And she just went on to how cruel this was. They euthanize these poor unadopted dogs and cats as if there's, like, infinite space to house them and infinite, like, support from employees and food and generosities and donations. So she thought that was an abomination about how Minnesota treats its animals well. So their humane societies and shelters don't euthanize dogs. They find homes for them, apparently, because it's just that easy. They just find homes. The red state shelters don't find homes. And this was right after we had been talking about pro-life and anti-life political positions. So I'm like, hold on a second, sister-in-law. You mean to tell me that offing an unborn child is not out of bounds, but suddenly a shelter putting down a dog that nobody wants is a bridge too far? I just stared at her. I was like, help me understand this.
I saw a Freedom Tunes episode too, which Seamus does it. It's a great follow. It's on the YouTube and stuff. And it was like a conservative talking to a liberal. And like the liberal, every response was, well, technically, blah, 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 and technically, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no. Like, I love the abortion debate discussion because it's like we can't all agree an unborn child shouldn't be killed. Like we can't agree on that. And then their response is always like, well, communism. You need communism if you're not going to kill the kids. Like, well, sure, conservatives want you to have the baby, but they won't pay for all your health care and food and shelter and all that. And it's like, whoa, how do we go from like, let's start with let's not kill the baby. And then, like, let's talk like that. It just like I don't kill the babies or you get communism. It doesn't make any sense.
I will say, Jason, some of the notions aren't wrong. So I had a friend explain this to me, and I haven't worked it out myself. Let me know what you think. But he was like, communism works on the nuclear family level, where it's like, yeah, you pool all your resources and everyone works what they can. You got a job, you take care of the house, you raise the kids, whatever. That's kind of the communist model here. And as you build out a little bit, you get less and less communist, more and more capitalist, because it doesn't work for me to work hard and have you benefit from my labor and time and resources here. So maybe they're onto something when they say we need communism to raise a kid. They just need to rethink that and undo all the brainwashing and actually, no, society is not responsible for your kid, but you are, and your grandparents and your extended family. They can all chip in and help out financially, with time, with care. I don't know. I'm still working that philosophy out here, more to less communism, capitalism, what have you.
Well, here's what's interesting. And, we joke about it in our business. We run our business like a communist hippie commune. We have 4 business partners. Everybody does stuff they're good at. We equally split the profits from what we do, each to their ability. There's things I can't write an article. Will can. Like figuring out how we're going to make the most on platforms I'm good at. The other guys aren't. Todd doing the video edits. He's good at that. I'm not. And so we run our business like a hippie commune. And what's funny is we've tried to expand our business to a 5th or a 6th partner. It's always failed because that's a problem with communism. It's like a great concept on a very small scale. But as you increase it up and all 4 of us very close to each other, we have great affinity for each other, but it just never scales. So, I think they're right. Hey, in small samples of closely connected people, it will work like a family, even an extended family maybe, but to any scale, it doesn't work because you hit the nail on the head. I don't want to work harder so that somebody I don't care about can work less hard. It's pretty simple.
It seems pretty simple. All right.
Yeah.
We are. All right. The hour here.
Should we wrap this up and then head over to the Rumble only?
I think so. Actually, a couple plugs, Jason. I've been nursing my coffee today. I got one drop left here. So before I finish it off, folks, I just want to remind you of splitrockcoffee.com, disabled veteran owned right here in Minnesota, where Jason and I live, dealing with Tim Walz and Keith Ellison on a day-to-day basis and all of the illegals that get released back onto the streets. But delicious coffee, you can support a disabled veteran owned production company right here, splitrockcoffee.com. Use promo code TOD10. But we are going to be signing off on the Facebook, on the YouTube, unfortunately. We've got to say goodbye to John over on the YouTube who found us today. But we are not done yet. We are going to rumble.com. Rumble.com, our channel is the American Tribune. Everything we do is under the American Tribune. And if you want to watch on your phone, listen on your phone, go get the green play button app, the Rumble app. It's just like YouTube. The YouTube app is terrible, by the way. I don't know if the Rumble app is much better, but you can get the Rumble app on your phone. Again, search out the American Tribune, and you're going to see us streaming live for another half hour.
All right. We'll see you guys on the flip side. Have a great day.